We'll be on Nomad. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure I have these games sorted. I should be good, I think. Today it is just me, but of course we will have co-casters coming on throughout the event as well. So our first game here going to be on Step. And would you look at that picture from Spaden? Isn't that just wonderful? Like, oh man, what a great picture. That's so good. He really did his best esports face right there. I was like, Spaden, send me a picture. He was like, sure. What kind of mood do you want? Like, give me the esports look. I'll take the esports look any day. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and jump in here to our next game. Now, you'd think in the 5-minute break I'd be able to actually update everything on the overlays and all that jazz, but no. All right, we're done. Okay, so in we go for game... Hold on, that's the wrong thing. There we go. Game number 2 here. Set number 2, even. I don't know why I call it game number 2. It's clearly set number 2 for the AoE All-Stars qualification Spaden versus BacT for this best of 3 series. Once again, we're back on Step here for our first match, and all of these games in the qualification stage, as I said before, they're going to be mirror civs, and so we have Goths here for both players, and they are going to be on the map pack, which is a pack consisting of a small number of maps, and they are randomly selected at the start of each game. So Spaden bringing up his TC to the southwest of the map, and we have BacT with his TC up towards the northeast. And we've got BacT doing a similar strat to Miguel, building his TC on the berries here, very far away from a wood line. And that does raise some concerns, since generally speaking, if you play a nomad style map, you generally have your you generally have your TC positioned against a wood line for some nice, safe wood. Obviously, wood is one of the most important, valuable resources in the early stage of the game. So, once again, berries for BacT. Spaden, on the other side, he's actually got his TC against the berries and the stone, as well as one of these yurts. But he has got a much safer back wood line area. He can actually wall in towards his TC here if he likes. He could kind of bring a wall up from the south. This is nice and safe back here. BacT, on the other hand, taking wood quite far away, but it's not so bad. He could start to wall out with houses across the front here, for example. But bear in mind, Goths don't get stone walls, so they will be relying on palisades. They will be relying on houses and barracks and all that jazz. This map is really good for a drush, actually, just because of how open it is. Generally speaking, you can access something with your drush, whether it's a wood line, whether it's berries if they're further from the TC. Something's going to be in reach of a drush. So oftentimes, I think it's a good choice, and for the Goths definitely as well. Goths are a great infantry civ. They get the additional benefit in the expansions of bonus damage to buildings, and we've already seen in the Miguel versus Vivi series just how that can really impact things. But right now, both players sort of moving around the map with their horse, looking for llama, because llama are the number one source of food for the Goths on this map. Llama, of course, just replacing sheep. But one thing I've noticed, Spaden playing very defensive with his llama. He's not actually using them to scout at all, really. They're just sitting under the town center. BacT, on the other hand, already seeing so much more of the map, using his horse to scout, pick up the llama, but also using those llama to scout as well. And that's a big difference between the two players already. BacT has no llama underneath the TC. He's got a couple quite close by. The rest are just moving around the map looking for information, seeing what's out there. And so already BacT has a good 100 score lead. Switching over now, just watch the minimap. We're watching BacT, and now we'll switch it to Spaden. And the vision is almost non-existent in comparison. Obviously, Spaden's got a good idea of his immediate surroundings. That's obviously really important. But, he's not going to see nearly as much as BacT is going to see at this stage of the game. And, scouting information, just having that map information, it's really valuable. It can really influence your decisions in the game. Obviously, in this map, though, I mean, it's pretty consistently bad in the center. There's always going to be a very open center to the map, but still, I mean, my point kind of remains, I guess. So we've got the mill coming up here on the deer for BacT, quite close to his wood line, so he can kind of keep his villagers close together, makes it much easier to defend. And right now, BacT hasn't actually found Spaden yet. I've noticed Spaden's horse has been buzzing around BacT for some time. He's found his yurt over here. He's found the mill on the right-hand side. But funnily enough, Spaden hasn't found his wood line, which is quite amusing, just because of how poor the line of sight on the horse is. He actually sees this, but he doesn't see the wood. So, yeah, I mean, Spaden actually still playing a little bit in the dark here. I think you can lure the deer with the horse. I believe it's possible, but I may be wrong on that, actually, because it's been a long time since I played this map myself, and I didn't see any players actually luring the deer in either. So if anyone actually knows in the chat, I'd love to get some clarification on that. Can you actually push the deer with the horse, or does it not work? I mean, I would assume it would work, because the deer generally just run away from, you know, anything. But it might just be that there's always a unit present when they do. Apparently you cannot. So there you go. You cannot push the deer with the horse, according to the chat. So if you're wrong, chat, it's all your fault. Spaden here, though, moving across the map with 5 villagers now. House coming up in the center of the map. That is crucial to his strategy. Got to get the house up. But would you look at that? 18 population going up to the feudal age. He's already grabbing stone, and if you want to do a tower rush, you want to be up to the feudal age as fast as you can, and you certainly can't catch Spaden. He's clearly the gingerbread man as he pushes forward, and he's going to throw up some towers here. Looks like he'll go straight to the deer patch. He doesn't, as I said before, he doesn't know there's wood here, but he's going to get a 2-in-1 double whammy wombo combo tower here once he actually makes it over to the to this side. He's still hanging around on the left with his horse. We've got BacT taking gold very far away, starting to wall this up on the left-hand side. But the right side is exposed, and that tower is coming up. BacT, knowing that Spaden has already hit the feudal age extremely quickly, he probably anticipates that perhaps a tower could be coming in. But he is so far away from feudal in comparison. He's at 24 population. He's just clicked up, and he's about to have the first tower coming down. And what can BacT do? He has no defense here because he cannot build a tower of his own. So the first tower from Spaden about to come up now. There it is. And BacT's going to see it. He's going to bring his villagers in. But the walls are already up here protecting the tower for Spaden. Spaden, though, isn't following this up with any man-at-arms. He doesn't have a barracks. And I don't even know if he can afford to commit to making man-at-arms right now. His economy is absolutely destroyed by this. 5 villagers forward, of course, meaning that he doesn't have any villagers gathering anything. In fact, that's 6 villagers forward. Back at home, he's got all of his villagers on the stone. In fact, he's got 3 villagers queued at the TC, and that's going to be it. No more food income for Spaden here at all. So he's really going all in. Oh, wait, I take that back. He has got deer, but still, this is very, very all in, very ballsy. He's got a little bit too much wood in the bank, actually. Maybe he could benefit from a barracks here, but as I say, even if he builds a barracks, he can't afford any militia. But still, the second tower has gone up next to the TC. The third tower is coming up on the right-hand side, and I think what we're going to see in this sort of map quite often, if you watch Step more often, I think you are going to see quite a few towers coming up just because of how open this map can be. Now, his villager at the back getting some information that BacT is actually built another lumber camp back here. The 3 towers from Spaden in this area are denying the wood line on the right, but it's not amazing because there is still there aren't many deer left, basically. BacT already gathered all the deer. So Spaden's going to get another tower up here. BacT, of course, going to try and build one in defense. I don't think he's going to finish it in time. And I guess these 2 towers will deny some farming from BacT. So BacT might have some trouble with food. He has got 300 food in the bank, though, so he can make villagers for some time. But food could be a problem for BacT, and that's why he's actually sent out 4 villagers to this left-hand side. Very exposed, very out in the open, but certainly a long way away from this pressure of Spaden, meaning that he's probably going to be able to keep them alive and probably secure some food income where he cannot secure it back at home. So BacT here, defending, well, he's got one defensive tower up. Can he build another though? I don't think he can. He doesn't have any villagers gathering stone right now. And Spaden, instead of keeping the pressure on, it seems like he was going to go back home. I think he needs to try and come in on this left-hand side. Maybe come up towards this gold, perhaps. Maybe try and make a break for it and get back to the wood line at the back. I take it back. BacT does have stone coming in, as he will probably build a mining camp on this stone mine any second now. But if we look at the population, 32 for BacT, Spaden on 28. He's already 4 population behind. That's 2 villagers right now, because BacT does have 2 spears and Spaden has no military units. So Spaden's behind by 2 vills. And I can only assume he's had to idle his TC for a little bit here, as the food income just wasn't there in the early feudal age. But still, more aggression, more towers from Spaden, but I'm questioning how much lasting long-term damage he can do here. Right now, this tower, is it actually out of range? It doesn't look like it is. It should be in range of these villagers, but Spaden's not actually attacking anything with it, so he could potentially find a villager kill, but I don't think his tower is actually focusing or targeting anything at all. He's actually going to have to come back home, or I guess come out to the left side and try and break in this way. But right now, look at that. Outpost going to come up here. He doesn't know he's literally right next to BacT villagers. Spaden's got BacT kind of, I don't want to say backed into a corner, but he has certainly got the pressure on. It's kind of like a VV Miguel game again, where we saw Miguel in the position of BacT and Spaden in the position of VV, or VV in the position of Spaden, whichever way you want to put it around. But yeah, Spaden now defending back at home with a wall off at the left side. And yeah, I mean, let's just think what his next step is going to be. I don't think more towers is going to be the answer. I think he needs to come home with these 6 villagers. I think he has to bring them back. I think he's got to kind of, yeah, wall up a little bit, defend his base a little more, and focus in on his eco a little bit more right now as well, because obviously with 6 villagers on the front, not gathering or not doing anything really now, that's not going to be very good for him over a long period of time. BacT will certainly have a lot more resources gathered. BacT is stable behind his TC, so that Spaden has no vision of it, sending out 4 scouts, and this is exactly why Spaden should be defending and walling up at home, because those scouts could do a lot of damage if any villagers are exposed. BacT does have his horse at the back here on the left side. He'll see the palisade. He's going to expect that that's walled off now, and instead he's going to try and maybe look towards the right side, which he has no information of. He could look towards this gold, but he also doesn't have the information that that's walled up, and I think Spaden's actually going to make his defense quite quickly here, and he should be able to manage to repel these scouts for the time being. These villagers, though, a little bit feisty, coming in, going to be battering down the villas on the deer. You got to love a little bit of villager fighting. Spaden brings over a few spearmen as well. He actually ends up losing one of his own villas. I think he sent one of the low villagers in first and ended up getting killed off there. BacT running back home. And I think he might even keep all 4 of these villagers alive, you know. It's difficult to catch up when you're chasing villagers with villagers. I get the feeling like BacT might actually be able to get these guys home safe and sound, and indeed, it looks like he will. So Spaden still not really doing a huge amount with these vills. They're not gathering anything, and it's giving me a little bit of anxiety over here, as he's now going to set them to work attacking this palisade. I think he should have done this a little earlier. If he'd have been able to break through here, he could have built towers around the back side, and that could have been really nice. But the point is, BacT still has access to stone, and he can still build more defensive towers. As soon as Spaden attacks this wall, BacT is preparing with a defensive tower here, just to prevent Spaden from coming in and keeping the pressure on. So, right now, I think BacT is pulling himself into quite an advantageous position. He'll even kill a villager over at Spaden's base. I'm wondering if that might have been low HP on a farm or on the berries or something. But looking at the population, we've got BacT on 46. We've got Spaden on 43, so he's not too far behind population-wise. But resources gathered right now are going to be much higher for BacT. I just have that sort of feeling. Still, Spaden's not doing so bad. He actually does have more food in the bank. So Spaden could actually be up to the castle age before you know it. And once he gets castle, I mean, that opens up a whole lot of opportunities for him. The Goths make a great knight civ. There you go. He does throw down a stable. So it looks like Spaden's looking for the castle age upgrade. He's still got a lot of stone income. I mean, he could keep mining the stone out and go for a castle as well. But either way, he's going to be castle very soon. He's got a lot of farms up at home. BacT, on the other hand, has a lot more farms. Would you look at that? He is so far ahead in farm count. We've got 8 farmers for Spaden. BacT, on the other hand, is on 21 farmers. So BacT, even though a second ago he had a lot less food in the bank, he may be clicking up to the castle age at about the same time. Bear in mind that BacT did, of course, make the scouts as well. They found one villager, but with Spaden having quite a few spears out on the map, I think it's going to be tough for him to find any more for the time being. He might get some scouting information, though. He might find the stable. In fact, he does see the stable, so BacT is well aware that Spaden's going to add some knights. And it looks like BacT will probably do the same. He could add a monastery as well, but I think he'll just maybe add a second stable in here. He's got so many farms. He could also keep the villagers on the stone and eventually go for the castle, but I think we're just going to see the knights coming out for both players here, to be honest. Let's see if this... Oh, BacT actually doesn't have a blacksmith, which is interesting. Unless I'm just... Yeah, he doesn't actually have a blacksmith. So he's going to want to get one of those up pretty quickly. He does have the stone for a couple of extra TCs, actually. He could consider just adding a couple of TCs as well. But I think maybe adding at 1 TC and then getting quite aggressive with the knights could be really nice for BacT here as well. Spaden, on the other hand, he is very close to that castle. I think he's going to commit to the castle, to be honest, given just how much stone he's got already, given that he still has 6 villagers gathering stone. I certainly think he's going to add the knights. He's doing forging right now, and I'm assuming he's already got +1 defense. But with BacT not having a blacksmith, I wonder if he's going to be... Okay, the blacksmith is coming up. So I was going to say, with him not having a blacksmith, I do question whether or not he'd make many knights with that. You'd expect him to have the blacksmith up and start doing the researches now, so that by the time the knights come out, he's already got the techs for it, and he can start researching the tier 2 technologies. But he is so rich. I mean, he could even add a second stable right now and go double stable if he wanted to. He'd need a couple more villas on gold to sustain it, but he could easily do that. Spaden, on the other hand, he's got enough for that castle, and we'll see if he's going to place that maybe defensively. He could consider going offensively with it as well. But it looks like, yeah, going to be defensive. And that's actually, if you think about it, that is a really good castle position, because it's going to be on all 3 of these gold mines. It's going to protect the front of his economy here. And that's going to be really good. I mean, maybe Spaden will actually make a quick transition here into Huskarls. I did just hear a technology finisher. I'm assuming that was the wood up. But I want to keep an eye on this blacksmith, because he could go for Huskarls, since they would be able to get in there and do a lot of raiding damage. For BacT, we actually have a siege workshop, which is an interesting choice. The second town center, and no third town center in sight. So, I mean, I do feel like the 2 TC sort of more high aggression could work for BacT. He might even just be looking for a castle of his own as well. We might see Huskarls from both players here. We've got the monastery on the front for Spaden. That will allow him to convert any opposing knights, which he is probably expecting to come out from BacT here. And Spaden's in, but he's going to be confronted by a second TC at the back. He doesn't have any defense upgrades on these knights, so I'm feeling like Spaden's probably going Huskarls, and he is queuing them up right now. So this is where map control is really valuable. If BacT has to play super defensive now, then Spaden can keep running in there with the Huskarls, just apply a tremendous amount of pressure, and BacT may not be able to strike back very easily. So it's on Spaden now to really do a lot of damage. As BacT is up on the 2 TCs, it looks like Spaden's going to commit to just the 1 for now. He could add a second TC in just a moment. Oh, another front. Wow. Wow, what is BacT doing? All the villagers coming out here. All of the villagers. A good fight for Spaden there, actually. He'll kill a villager. He'll kill 4 of the scouts, and he'll only lose a single spearman. That was very nice, but there's the castle coming up for BacT. It is considerably later. And both players here with their knights just doing +1 attack, so neither player wants to overcommit to the knight upgrades. What they're really looking for are the Huskarls, and in they come for Spaden. In they come. Now, he might even, if he comes forward here with the monk and the spears, he might even deny this castle. And for Spaden, that would be fantastic. For BacT, not so. He does have a defensive mangonel in place, though I am not too sure about the decision to go for the mangonel, because, I mean, it might get a nice shot against the Huskarls, do some damage, but it's very expensive, and it's very easy to take a mangonel down with Huskarls as well, since they are pretty quick. Pretty nippy. Spaden soaking up a lot of arrow fire. Does have +1 defense now on the Huskarls. BacT does not have fletching on the TC, so he actually didn't even need +1 defense here to negate all the damage from the town center. But you know, he's gonna do it anyway, because fletching could come in at any time. And in goes the mangonel. I'm amazed that he's not focused down the mangonel yet. There you go, he's getting it now. Pound for pound, though, the knights are going to come out on top versus the Huskarls, since they do have a lot more HP. But those Huskarls are unrivaled when it comes to raiding. However, Spaden hasn't been able to pull off that much raiding damage just yet. BacT still looking fairly comfortable here. Spaden, though, with good map control. He is now adding in a 3rd town center. He did actually add the 2nd at the back here. And BacT already has his 3rd town center up and running. Suffering so far very, very few casualties, to be honest. He's suffered very few casualties. He's defended quite nicely with the knights, to be honest. The knights do obviously outperform the Huskarls a little bit, and we've not seen Spaden getting any conversions with the monks, so right now BacT is way ahead in economy. 75 population versus 68 for Spaden. And BacT has held on quite nicely. So this is actually pretty good for him now, as he adds a monastery at the back. The Huskarls, of course, they don't care about the arrow fire, but they will care about those knights. They can just be repelled time and time again by the knights here. And, I mean, BacT could even commit a little heavier to the knights, but Spaden with the monks, always a threat, I guess. I want to look over at Spaden's side of the map. He's pretty defensive back here. This isn't too bad. But that 3rd TC is coming up so late in comparison. I'm a little concerned. Upgrade-wise, he's still +1/+1. BacT, on the other hand, +1/+1 on the knights. Of course, there's no bloodlines yet. You could consider getting bloodlines as well. But generally speaking, you know, if you're fighting against an army that has monks in it, and you're required to make knights to deal with the bulk of the enemy's army, you don't want to put too many upgrades on the knights. Because when they get converted, they're that much harder to kill. They're a little bit more valuable to Spaden when he converts them that way. So it might actually be the sensible thing here to actually just ignore upgrades on the knights, since they are going to beat the Huskarls pound for pound anyway. But for the time being, BacT Eco booming up nicely back here. Look at all these farms he's got coming up. Comparing the farms is always a nice way to sort of tell who's sort of ahead in Eco. 31 farmers for BacT versus Spaden's 30. So they're actually fairly close in farms. But BacT certainly has a lot more population at the moment. Monk's getting a single conversion. That's BacT's monk now. He's actually bringing in his own to play. I like it. So yeah, I mean, Spaden could look for a... Oh, wow, okay. 4th TC for BacT. I didn't even see that. Look at this. He's even added a 4th TC. So he's booming away under pressure here, and Spaden just keeps coming in one location. He keeps coming in at the front. And I'm wondering why he's maybe not looking for another angle of attack. There is a hole in the wall here on the left side. He could come in here and maybe try and raid at the back. But I think the issue is as well that if he does go in, then BacT can bring his knights over and clean him up quite easily as well. But still, I don't think that attacking close to the castle makes the most sense. If he did keep attacking near the castle, he is going to sustain more damage from the castle. So maybe trying to force the fight out on the left side might be a little better for Spaden here, since that castle will just keep chipping away at the Huskarls. Sure enough, I mean, they do have 8 pierce armor right now, but that castle's doing 12 damage. So Spaden's going in once again. The Huskars are getting cut down by the knights. The monk's getting 2 or 3 conversions in there as well. And Spaden taking another bad fight. I'm a little bit concerned for Spaden here. He seems to be throwing everything at this aggression. As he adds in a forward siege workshop, another barracks or 2. He's making spears from this one. And another forward castle. So Spaden, like, really throwing everything at this. Where I actually think that the answer for Spaden is to get to the Imperial Age. I think Spaden needs to get Imp. He needs to try and tackle this castle with a trebuchet, for example. And then he's going to be okay. What is not going to be okay is when BacT hits the Imperial Age here. BacT's getting handcart very late, by the way. That's incredibly late for BacT. You want to be getting handcart as early as you can, ideally. It's an incredible technology. Super, super effective on your farms. You don't need many farms to make it worthwhile. But anyway, that's not really a major point. The point is, BacT is on the way to the Imperial Age at 78%. And he can immediately train a trebuchet. He can start throwing out Huskars of his own with better upgrades. And he can start pushing this back. So BacT is definitely in the commanding position, even though he's got no map control, even though he's playing super defensively. Just his eco alone is going to carry him here once he hits the Imperial Age. Spaden really committing here with a lot of units coming in. We got pikes, we got the Huskars, we got the forward castle, but BacT immediately with the treb. And you know what I always say, once the trebs are popping, the castles are dropping. As always. And I think this forward castle from Spaden, you know, it's a big investment. It's a very big investment. But it's not really going to pay off. It's not really going to allow him to do too much here. He is bringing in a ram, though. So if he can maybe get the treb down, BacT has to protect his treb. BacT might want to put the gather point back here behind the town center. Yeah, he will do. And he can deploy it and keep the knights close by. Because obviously if those Huskars run in and snipe the treb, that's really costly. It's going to slow BacT down. But Spaden committing so much to this castle age aggression. He's not going to be clicking up anytime soon. He's not going to have any answer to these trebuchets. And BacT, I think he's going to repel this. Not only that, let me just turn the volume down slightly. BacT has already done two-handed swordsman, and he's probably got champion on the way. It's at 22% right now. He's got better upgrades on these units, or he will have in just a moment. And Spaden's calling GG. There you have it. He knows that he cannot push against this anymore. He knows that, okay, he has to take down the trebs, otherwise his castle's going to go down. And he sees that BacT has quite a lot of two-handed swordsmen, which do deal with the Huskars very well, especially once the champion upgrade comes out. They trade very cost-effectively, and obviously for the Goths, they're super cheap as well. But yeah, Spaden just couldn't make it work, and if you're going to throw everything at it in the castle age, I feel like you have to be able to take down the enemy castle. If Spaden was able to destroy this castle before BacT reached the Imperial Age, it's kind of a different story altogether because he's forcing BacT to commit more resources to making military. What actually happened was BacT had the castle there, static defense. Spaden kept trying to push towards the castle, but he was very late to add any siege. What a better kind of option might have been was for Spaden to maybe try and get to the Imperial Age a little faster than BacT, and then take down the castle with his own treb much quicker. And he could have done that if he was only on 3 TCs. Bear in mind that with 3 town centers, you can do, generally speaking, a faster Imperial time than someone who's making 4 TCs, since they're investing a lot more food into villager production. That's going to slow down their Imperial Age time a little bit, in theory. But, yeah, I mean, I think if Spaden was able to destroy the castle, then that would have changed the game dramatically. But since BacT got to the Imperial Age, and he still had the castle, and he was able to make trebs, that was it for Spaden's castle there, and that was it for Spaden's push as well. So, GG. We'll take a quick look at the achievements just to check the villager counts. See, BacT was ahead by 14 in the end. Not a huge difference, actually, but bear in mind he also did the Imperial Age upgrade in that time also. Largest army-wise, BacT was able to overtake Spaden as well, thanks to his larger economy, and when we look at the eco stats, it kind of reaffirms that, since he had a lot more gold, a little bit more wood, and roughly even on food. So there you go, guys. Game number 1 between BacT and Spaden. Going to go the way of BacT here. Sweden is from Spaden. Slam Jam 99999 fan. Oh, damn. The 9999 fans are back. I mean, welcome to the stream. Okay. So, game 2 going to be coming up in just a moment. It is 1-0 to BacT right now, and our second game will be Baltic. We'll be back